My name's Paul Terrell, and I was going to stand up, but having heard Lauren speak this morning, where he said that while fasting it would be a good idea to rest, I'm on the 5th day of a water fast, and I'm planning on quite a long one this time, so his information was very useful. It didn't differ very much than the information on my website about detox. But there were some very useful things. So I'm going to do the commercial bit first, rather than afterwards. I've been working for 25 years with something called inversion therapy, and my full-time job before that was as a holistic therapist. So that's one of my backgrounds. I do have pieces of paper, some of them more useful than others. I trained as a biologist and as a lawyer, but that hasn't come in quite so useful. And so for 25 years I've been doing this inversion therapy, and the other thing that I want to bring to your attention, you have on your seats, is Spirit Fest, which, like Keith's gathering, is multi-faith celebration of life for all colours of the spectrum. Now, our talk today has this title, Harmonious Communication for a Unified World. And I am going to use my notes because they'll keep me on track. And we have a short space of time. Now, it is a gathering of minds, and so it isn't a gathering of hearts where we go, I feel I understand you. It'd be really nice if it really worked, that I got over the information that I would like to. So, what could it mean, for a start, harmonious communication? I had that question just before I came up here. What do I mean by harmonious communication? My answer was that we listen to each other. That it's more about listening and understanding somebody else's point of view than it is about, you already know your point of view, anyway. So that was my definition. Of course, many definitions, harmonious communication. The great book on communication is Marshall Rosenberg's Non-Violent Communication. And it's just very clear that we live in a time where the violence is built into the language. So, for instance, we give each other advice. We think that's, oh, you shouldn't have bought that car. You shouldn't be wearing that jersey. We just attacked someone, that's violence. We're doing it because as a child we didn't have any other power, and so we decided that if we can't have the power of being who I truly am, because of my conditioning, well, my conditions, parents, teachers, and so on, that I'm going to have any power I can get hold of, and one of them is violence, and that means that we can feel really good about ourselves. Oh, you shouldn't have bought that car. I feel great. He's stupid buying that car. I'm rather smart. So I've just attacked him. And yet it's in our culture. Helping people. Now this is a weird one. Helping people is violence. And we've got a whole culture built on, no, you should help people. It's all very good. But in fact, you don't know what that person's dreams are. And the perspective that I want to introduce, to be able to talk about moving into a new paradigm of good communication, peace, harmony. If we're going to create any of these things, we actually have to change ourselves. There's no other way around it. But we need to see things in a new way, because our culture is encouraging us to see things in a very, very limited and mental way, a mind way. So that's my short answer to what is harmonious communication. It's when we listen. And we've got a culture that encourages us to be violent when we speak. As I say, helping people. You help people who are lost in the street, and they're looking at their map and they're lost, and you go, no, you're going the wrong way, you should go that way. And off they go. But the thing is, they've dreamt that one day they'd meet the people they lost contact with 50 years ago. They've been dreaming about it and asking God to find these people. And God managed it. They were only 1 block away. They only had to go another 200 meters, and they'd bump into them, but you fucked it up by helping them. So, you know, is it a bad thing we break our leg? Most people would say yes, but not if the airplane you're going to take in a week's time crashes and kills everybody. So you see, it's perspective. And we're bombarded with a very limited perspective of reality. And Todd's going to blow our minds about what this reality we're living in is. But I need to mention, because the background to what I'm going to talk about is on the basis of the visions of the tantrics, the yogis, and the shamans, who slow their brain down using different methods in order to be able to separate consciousness from identifying with the human being, mind, emotion, body, and have a look from outside, and they come back with the same story, which is we're divine beings, we're consciousness beings having a human experience. The human being is not really it. It's just a nice car to drive around in so that we can actually have experience, and in oneness, no experience. No chocolate, no movies, no sex. Whereas here, oh boy, it's all good fun. So we're here to enjoy and to experience and celebrate life. So my then definition, which, what is a unified world? See, there have been people who have utopia dreams. They want to make everybody share my dream, which is horrible. I mean, we have some very successful ones in the last 100 years. Hitler, Lenin, Mao Zedong. Horrible result. Utopias, ridiculous. So my definition is a unified world is one where every single individual can enjoy human rights, ecological renewal, and peace, and are free to celebrate life in their own way. So that's some of the background. And this really means a new paradigm, where our present paradigm is consume as much as you can and save lots of money so that when you die you can, I don't know, give it to the government. So it's a strange paradigm where we're encouraged to consume until we destroy life. And anybody who thinks we're on the path to saving the planet with the amount of consumption we're doing, and the amount of factories that are running and nuclear power stations and so on, then I suggest you check the facts. So we need a new way of looking at the world, and this is not just a new fix, a new set of rules that we're all going to do this. This is very tempting, and you'll hear it quite a lot, especially in sort of New Age, modern thinking of, oh, if we all do this, it'll be great. That, to my mind, is not it. It's that we take back our own power and we create what we want, together with the people who share our particular passion for making sure that the kids on our street have badminton or whatever it is. It really doesn't matter, as long as we love it and it's our true contribution. So that again is the background very much for what I'm going to talk about, is having rules, telling people what to do is part of the problem, it's part of the old paradigm. But if we're going to co-create, we need to be in our power. We can't do it as victims. And we live in a kind of victim culture. We're encouraged to say things like, I have to, I ought to, I should, I must. It's in the language. So there again, we're in a culture where we're encouraged to generate victim energy. Oh, excuse me, I have to go to the toilet. This is absolutely absurd. Going to the toilet is a human need. We need to go to the toilet. So here we've got a language, a culture that is encouraging us to stay as victims, stay disempowered, and so on. So that's why it starts with the individual, because until we can see clearly enough to see what's bullshit and what is the real thing, to be able to discriminate between what's true and what's false, we're going to be led anywhere by anything. So that's the starting point. So I've written a new paradigm. The new paradigm is the one where we co-create as individuals from a new way of being and seeing the world. So very quickly, I'm going to rush through what it is to be a human being. Now, you probably know a lot about being a human being. My speciality is how do human beings work, because I work as a therapist. And so people come to me saying, I'm not working. You know, physically things aren't working, emotionally it's not working. And it's my job to, taking your car into the garage is when they take their car out, it's in better shape. As quickly as possible. Not 10 years of talking, immediate turnarounds. So that means understanding how does it work and what's the key you need to turn in order to get your human working better. And so since the starting point of good communication and circle work and so on, what I'm going to come to later on, I'm just going to rush through a little bit about what it is to be a human being. And why we're in the brainwash that we're in at the moment. So the perspective is, so my question is, what's it to be a human being? What's society? What is community? So our design is adapted for being hunter-gatherers. That's what the genetics has got fixed to do. We're good hunter-gatherers. And our genetic programming is to be tribal beings. We're really set up for it. And then came the agricultural revolution 12,000 years ago. So the agricultural revolution brought us centralization, reduced diversity, disconnection from nature. Women were excluded from the decision-making, or from decision-making altogether, and enslaved. Hierarchy, better health. What this has done for us is it's healthier being in this society than it is being out in the jungle on your own. Better personal safety. It's actually safer. The hunter-gatherers pretty warlike now and again. But we have lost some of our values and ethics that were very useful to us as shamanic or tribal people. What we've also gained is decadence and glamour, which are an enormous problem for modern people. And then we've lost our true identity as individuals because we don't have initiation into adulthood anymore, which means basically we're all children. And there is a big difference. So here we are, finding ourselves in a very wonderful gilded cage, and we're cut off from the needs of the disenfranchised people in the world. It comes through, so we give some money to a charity and then it goes over there. And the thing is that we don't have time for it, is we're very busy, we work too hard, or we're ignorant and lazy, but that's not you guys, because you got off your couches on a Sunday to come here. So we're the ones who are not suffering from laziness or ignorance, but we are cut off. So we're in this wonderful gilded cage, and somebody's doing something about it, and they're going to cure it all with money and technology. You can probably hear that all the time. It's very unlikely, because the problems are being caused by money and technology. So trying to cure a problem with more of the same, I know they do that in homeopathy, but they're not using nuclear bombs and nuclear power stations homeopathically. They're big and they make a mess. So, reasons to be cheerful. Who we are is passionate, creative, free, powerful, responsible, wise, and loving beings. That's who we already are. We don't have to make any effort to be these things because our soul has those qualities. We've already got them. Now, can we access them? That's something else, because this can get in the way. We've been programmed to limit how we can express who we really are. So we're also very resourceful. I'll hop over. So I just want to take you through a little run of, I was always thinking of myself as a sensible person and prayed to God that please don't make me a channel. You know, these people whose voice comes through and they change their facial expression. And it hasn't happened yet, but I did wake up a few years ago having written something in my sleep. And I want to share it with you because I was asked to share this. I got 4 words that are acronyms. And I wanted to take you quickly through because I was told, share this. This is the steps we're taking towards the new paradigm of a golden age. We're smart, we have lots of time, we have so many skills. Creating a golden age paradise on earth can't be that hard. I mean, nature has already got the whole thing in hand. The Garden of Eden is already here. Surely it only needs a few tweaks and everybody has everything they want. It can't be that difficult. But it turns out that we're the ones who are going to do it. It's not going to be the government, it's not going to be the banks, it's not going to be the companies because they're too tied up in their story. But we're not. That's why you're here. So it's us. It really is. So the first word that came was priest. P-R-I-E-S-T. Power reclaimed by individuals established in spiritual truth. So step 1, cut out the middleman. If you've been depending on books, teachers, gurus, anything like that, get your connection, whatever it takes, to get your connection with spirit. It's not difficult. There are established methods. We need to get our own connection so we can listen to our own visions and our own guidance so that we're connected with spirit, and of course we need to keep our feet fully on the ground. The danger is with connection, a lot of people fly off, they get very strong visions and they don't ground it, and here we are with a fabulously grounded vision. It's the time to ground the visions, not fly with them. So, priest, our power comes from our spiritual connection. Our power does not come from having big muscles and lots of money. So, getting back our power. The next word was seer, standing for stewardship, evoking ecological renewal. So, owning things doesn't help us. This is my land, I'm going to sell you apples. No, this is one planet, and we're free people to wander the planet, and food, Mother Earth creates food, so we just put our hand out and we eat. This is absurd that we have to pay for anything. Money is absolutely unnecessary. It's a middleman, and it's what we use now, but that's not the design. The design is we wander in nature and we go, oh, I feel something. What is it? Oh, yes, I'm hungry. Okay, nice, apple. That's how it's meant to be, and that's the design. And we've tried some other design, and it's looking like it'll kill all life on the planet if we carry on with these nuclear power stations. So we begin to become stewards and look after the land for the future generations, not destroy it for the future generations by short-term thinking and putting money in the bank. It really needs that shift for anything to change. So that's another step, is becoming stewards. Next one, sage, standing for scientists acting for the good of everyone. Now the scientists are, I'm afraid, largely financed by the military, governments and industry. So they're not really working for our benefit. And they absolutely, you can hear them in interviews saying, oh yeah, genetic manipulation, well, you know, I don't make the decisions. Yes, it could have incredible consequences, but I'm not the one who decides. I'm a little child. I don't make moral or ethical decisions. You'll hear that a lot. That's not okay in my book, one little bit. Atomic bombs, nuclear power stations, chemicals, so on and so on and so on and so on. It's not my fault. Okay, time to grow up. And the last one, which is what I'm going to discuss more today, is circle. Communities impeccably relating through circles or councils of leaders and elders. Now, it doesn't just mean the circles of the leaders and elders, but the communities would communicate through these leader-elder circles. And I'm going to talk a fair bit about how circling can and might work. It's a very ancient tradition. It's the most highest form of technology for communication that exists on the planet at the moment, and it's been fine-tuned for tens, perhaps hundreds of thousands of years, the circle, as the basis of for negotiating, decision-making, conflict resolution, you name it, planning, whatever. And so we already have a technology, the present technology we have, which is, I've got 51% of the vote, so fuck you. And the problem is that that other 49% are my friends on the board. I mean, it's absurd that we would do this to each other, that we would make associations and businesses based on voting against each other. This is horrific. And yet we've been brainwashed. Oh, that's how we do it. So we end up ganging up on our friends to get the vote. It's horrible. So priest, seer, sage circle is the vision or the channeling that I got to share as to how we're going to move into this beautiful new paradigm, this new age. And the thing is, for a lot of us, we're already living it. It's not something you have to go. It's not like over there or anything. How many of you are doing yoga and yoga teachers and that kind of thing? So there you are. You step onto your mat and you're with your friends and you're celebrating life and having a body, and there you are. And we go dancing, and we're already doing it in many, many ways. So, but that's us. We might be doing quite well, and people say to me sometimes, "Oh, Paul, you spend a lot of time traveling and airports, and it must be horrible and everything." And I said, "Well, not really, because I actually enjoy airports, but the places I land are kind of yoga centers or spiritual centers or something like that, where the food's great and everybody's chilled, and so no, there's." Centers of light all over the planet. They're growing like crazy. Here's another center of light, which is growing. And sooner or later, the edges of the centers of light are going to touch, and that's it. The whole planet lit up. So, but how are we going to do that? How are we going to... We've got now to a situation where we've got hundreds of thousands of organizations on the planet, which are small, like this one, gathering of minds. And they don't really have, they have a leadership, somebody holding the energy, but it's not about leadership, it's about the members. And there are three main groups. There is the peace and human rights, there's the ecological ones, Greenpeace and so on, and then there's the consciousness and traditional health, or alternative, complementary, whatever you want to call it. So there are these massive movements on the planet right now, and I'm sure all of us belong to one or two or all of them in some way. And how long is it going to take before this tips into above the radar of the media? At the moment, if you write a New Age book, it will not be reviewed in The Guardian. If you produce a New Age music, it will not be reviewed in any of the papers. Why is that? They're doing big sales. It's the big growing area, the big movement of sales in books, music, art is visionary art, meditation music, shamanic music. I mean, it's ignored. So, of course, it's a good thing, because actually what we're doing is very subversive in a way. It's not like there's an us and them, because there isn't. We're all in this together. But, frightening the natives is not a good idea. But it seems like there's coming a point. Yoga is one of the most successful movements that has gone from being, it's a dangerous sect, and we're not having it in my church. I did a piece of work with children in a church in Sweden, and the Christian paper and the local paper said I was the devil. I shouldn't be in the church, because I was hanging people upside down and telling children they're powerful, showing them they were powerful. So we've moved on a lot. So now yoga is acceptable everywhere, pretty much. So what's the next wave? So the movement is definitely going the right way. I'm keeping an eye on the clock. Whoa, it goes fast, doesn't it? How I work with people on the personal level is in one session, in a form of 7 programs, you see what are the programs that stop you being who you really are, that limit your looping patterns, and where do they come from, what are they, and it's very quick. It's basically the deal that your mother made with you when you were born, the deal your father made with you when you were born. There might be a strong grandmother in there or some uncles and so on, but they're very strong and they're dangerous. They might sound okay. I'll love you if you love me. That is not okay. That's not a proper relationship between mother and son or daughter. So these are very powerful, and because we can't see them, they operate, and until we can see them, they loop very strongly. The other class of programs that limit us being who we are is the weapons that we collect in order to survive as kids. And there's only 5 of them, and it's very simple. Violence, we've already talked about. Helping people, criticizing. Every time we criticize someone, they didn't ask for feedback. Oh, you're so stupid. Just attacked someone. Judgment, of course, great. He's so stupid and I'm so smart. Great, nobody caught me doing that one. So here we are, we're in a violent culture. So every time we judge, we're throwing our power away and we're attacking someone. Rebel. Feels good for a bit, doesn't it? Yeah, 90 miles an hour in a 30 mile an hour area until you get taken away. And the rebels also lie, because we have to. So lying and stealing. And of course, at the end of the day, not even trusting my own authority so I don't finish my projects. So the rebel one feels good for a moment, doesn't do us any good. Control, I don't need to say much, because it's one of the big ones in our culture. If you're having difficulty sleeping at night because you can't turn your brain off, control. Constipated, control. Then there's silence. I don't have feelings, actually. Yes, but your father died yesterday and you lost your job. Yeah, no, I'm fine, I'm fine, really fine. No, I'm fine. So we know that one, and until I explode, of course, or I have a panic attack. And the last one is the most dangerous, and it's encouraged everywhere, is poor me. The victim, I have to, I must, I ought to, I should, I can't, I'm tired. I'd like to, but I'm not going to. And of course, we can see it very clearly, addictions, suicide attempts or thoughts about suicide, and eating disorders. So any complaining and any blaming is victim. So adults don't complain and blame, they do something about it. So what is the point? I'll just mention the other class of programs, which is traumas. And some traumas are very deep and we really need help out of these traumas. But there's really 3 classes of programming that limits expression of who we truly are, our contracts, our weapons, and traumas. Now there's another layer, of course, of cultural programming, and this is not so dangerous. I grew up in a household that I will admit were racist. We told Irish jokes, and this was the thing, finding the latest Irish jokes, all really good. And then when I got a bit older, I realized, oh my God, that's racist. So I'll stop doing that, and I did. It was really easy. The cultural stuff is not difficult, unless you're in a sect or a religion that pounds you has brainwashed you. That's a trauma. So there we are. And then what I offer people is initiation into adulthood, which means new programs, so you don't have to run the old ones. No violence with your old programs, no doing anything different, no changing. Don't need to change because we're already divine beings having a human experience. So let's just change the story of the program you're running. The Balinese children learn about reality from the puppet plays. So you'd sit there, it's only for children, the adults don't need to see it anymore, and there's a big paper screen. Behind the screen is a puppet master holding up puppets and moving them, and behind that there's a massive lamp, an oil lamp. So the oil lamp is the light of the one consciousness. And the puppet master is your soul. And your soul has a gift, has a story that it wants to bring to earth. But it's all behind this appearance. You don't see any of that. We're just seeing the shadow of our dreams and of our creations. So we're incredibly powerful. Here we are, creating all of this together and into our own individual dreams. But if we don't realize that, then we're going to be blaming somebody who's not to blame, because it's totally our responsibility what we get to show up on our screen. So once we grow up, then we're in that position of, it's all me, which is a very good position to be in if you want to have a job, have a girlfriend, get married, have children. It's good to be adult, and we don't do it in our culture. We do all these things as children, and we end up fighting and squabbling and having all the problems that we have. So that's the background, and so I'm going to throw some tools at you. I realised I've got enough here for about 4 days. So in a way, this is what I would bring to groups who are setting up to do some action. I work with the Pirate Party in Sweden. That was the first pirate party, and there's 38 of them, I think, around the place. They've got a Euro MP, they don't have an MP in Sweden. The fascists got the vote that last time. And I work with people who are setting up action groups, ecological action groups, and people doing eco-housing and stuff like that. But also businesses. I'm not a great fan of coaching businesses to be better at selling complete rubbish. I'm sorry to be so rude. I know so many businesses doing wonderful things, but when I get into people, I get into these companies and I go, I can't believe in this stuff. I just can't. Anyway, it's my problem. So, creating sustainable community. We live in communities, but what sort of communities? On the whole now, I know a lot of people who don't know their neighbours at all. They don't consider that they're geographically got a community. It's more like Facebook, or at work might be their main community. So what do we mean by community? Is it geographical? Is it the people who share our interest? I know some people who football is a bigger community for them than other things, and sometimes it's work. And then it's sharing values. So, for instance, the yoga community is a wonderful community sharing values all over the world. You can, wherever you go in the world, you go to an ashram, and that's your family. The heart tribes and ayahuasca family, the iboga family, shamanic groups, wherever you go in the world, you'll connect. You have a family. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's, mind you, if it's the Rotary, of course, but there you go. So, we live in communities, but we're really quite far away from tribal community, where we connect every day with the people we live amongst. And when people are setting up... Oh, I've got a question. Who here has lived in intentional community, like an ashram or a group of people who are getting together for a specific purpose? Are there any hands for that? Yes. Not very many, but a few. I've lived in intentional community for many, many, many years, and they're all dysfunctional. So I've learned a lot about dysfunction. I nearly joined one that was the biggest disaster in Sweden ever. So I will talk through, I've done a lot of research on what is it when you have a group of people working and living together in harmony, what do they have that the other ones don't? That was my question. And so I have a very easy answer, and it needs 3 legs. You know, if you have 1 leg, you've got to balance it. It's quite difficult. If you have 2 legs, you have to stand there and hold it up. But once you've got 3 legs, it stands up on its own. And the 3 legs are a shared vision. And that vision might change. You might have visioning meetings twice a year and rearrange your vision. But unless you share a vision, nothing's going to happen. Oh no, I thought we were going to build 30 houses, not 3. You know, you better know what page you're on with your members, and that you've clearly together created your vision, and you can write it down in pictures, not words, so that you can see it. The second one is values, and people mix these up very much, but values are very different than vision. The vision would be something like, we're going to get together and buy a farm, we're going to run it on permaculture principles, we're going to be not more than 30 families. You know, what a vision is, when I look at it, what does it look like? Whereas the values are things like, which people mix up with, oh, well, we're going to get together and love each other, it's going to be so gorgeous, we're going to have a lovely time, it's going to be so nice. And people who do it that way usually fall out with their friends in the first 5 minutes. So values, wonderful values. I'm going to recommend, if you want a brilliant set of community values, it's from Findhorn, which you've probably mostly heard of in Scotland. They've been going a long time, and it was hugely dysfunctional. So they decided we need something to glue us together. So we stopped fighting and so on. And they have the common ground, 14 points, absolutely beautiful. I've never seen anything better. And it starts with, I commit to my spiritual practice. So there's not rules, you have to. It's I, as a powerful, adult, responsible human being, commit to my practice, whatever that might be. There's beautiful ones in there, which is, I will help stop violence if I can't directly stop it, and I will not talk about people behind their backs. Now, I hope that resonates with a lot of you, that once you get together in a group and you start dividing up into subgroups and talking about each other, it's going to fall apart, or it's going to be very dysfunctional. So, having your values in place, whatever you choose them to be, is very important. And the third leg is the tools that you use in order to set up your organization. Is it going to be charity or a business, or is it just a gathering of minds? Maybe it's not a business, maybe it's not registered anywhere, but it's got a name, and it's got some sort of formality behind it, so we know what we're doing and who we are. Another thing is we need to know what are we going to do with finance? What are we going to do with conflicts? So when people ask me to join their group, the first question I have is, what is your strategy for resolving conflicts? And usually they go, and then I go, bye. I'm not going there, because the first thing that's going to happen when I come in a group is huge conflicts. Number one, I talk too much and take up too much space, and I'm a really annoying person. And the other thing is that you're the first, you're the new one into a group, the pecking order has to change. It's going to be chaotic and lots of arguments and so on. That's normal. That's absolutely normal and okay. Building a group, 4 stages, forming, hello, nice to meet you. 5 minutes later, storming. You borrowed my cup and you didn't bring it back. So, chaos. And it's good. You have to go through that phase where the leader's running around putting out fires and doing lots of stuff, and everybody finding their place in the pecking order sooner or later. And then you get to norming, where it's a bit more normal and the leader can sit down and have a cup of tea and things get done, and then performing, when you're really getting going what you do. So in terms of working together, and this is really what I want to leave you with, is those who want to be really effective in getting together in groups and creating fabulous things, is it needs 3 legs. Share the vision and put these 3 legs on paper, in place, before you start. You will find it very difficult. What we'd like to do as human beings is, let's build a new school block. Okay, off we go, and suddenly we built it and go, no dear, no, we didn't really want it like that. So, very easy to start before everything's in place. So it really is enormously important. Get your values and your vision and your tools in place before you begin. If you are forming a new group, I suggest that you do a project that has nothing to do with your group at all. Ask the local church whether they need the graveyard cleaned and do that together. Or go and do a voluntary project together, like a soup kitchen or anything that does something good for the community, and you get to build your team. It's enormously important. You go into your project straight away and you'll be arguing over your project. You don't want to do that. So these 3 legs, and if you can get those in place, you are way ahead of most organizations. I go into businesses and they're fighting internally. They could be fantastically effective and they could have much more sales and so on, but they're fighting inside. They have these hierarchies. People don't work effectively when the boss is treating them like shit, and they don't feel well. It works. I'm saying that because out of research, you go to anybody who's done research on communities, and it's not just me. So, the values. So our vision, what is our vision? Well, to get people together to raise consciousness, and we're going to do that by having monthly meetings in London, or whatever it is. So okay, good. That's a vision. Here's the manifestation. Doesn't have to be complicated. If your vision takes 3 pages, you don't know what you want to see. Mac, the computer company, do it in 6 lines. It's brilliant. Why are they where they are? They know what they want. The values, they spend the rest of the page on, because they really like their values. And one of the reasons why Apple is where it is because they have a value which is, we're not going to meet our customers and our service representatives halfway. We're not. We're going to meet them more than halfway. So businesses don't normally do that, and the businesses that do are very successful. So your values, you want values regarding your members, and maybe your customers, and so on. But I suggest that we have values built in relation to nature, and the environment. If we don't factor in the environment now, with almost everything we do, there won't be any left. I'm a biologist. I studied at King's College in London just when animal behaviour and ecology were becoming the hot subjects. So I was right there at the beginning of thinking out what is it about environments and ecologies and how they work and so on. And one thing's very clear is that there needs to be a certain amount of diversity in an environment in order for it to flourish. And if you take that away, that diversity, it spirals downwards to no life at all. So we're not there yet, but some environments on this planet are there already. And because we don't see them, we're not so aware. But when people say, oh dear, global warming, that's the big problem, I think we've got many worse challenges than that. You've got the food chain, you've got nuclear power stations leaking hundreds or thousands of litres every day, gallons every day into the Pacific Ocean, etc. We don't have to go there, we know that's the story. So having a policy, a strategy, values as regarding nature, recycling, conservation, and so on, essential. And then the tools. What do we need the tools for? Communication, planning, organising, negotiating, development, precision, decision-making, problem-solving, conflict resolution, and celebration. If we don't build in celebration, we've forgotten what the point of what we're doing here, which is celebrate life and enjoy. So I'm going to keep a... What am I going to get in the next time? Okay, so I'm going to jump on a bit then. What I have got time for is to talk about non-violent communication and circles. Non-violent communication, I think, is one of the most brilliant ways that is so easy. I bring it into companies and groups because it just says 4 things. What's the fact? Well, you called me an idiot. Better just check. No, I called him an idiot over there, not you. Good, okay, let's check. But if it is, yes, you called me an idiot, then I have feelings about this. So number 2, my feelings. I'm angry. And why am I angry? I'm not angry with you, because I'm not going to go into how our culture misunderstands what feelings are, which is a very big subject. But the feeling is I'm angry. Why? Because I have a need for respect. So, fact, feeling, need. Now, once I know what my needs are, then I can fix it. What we're doing with our emotions and our feelings, on the whole, in our culture, is becoming the victim of them. You made me angry. That's impossible, let me tell you. Nobody can make you feel anything unless they cut your cranium off and press the part of your brain that makes you high blood pressure and jump up and down. They cannot. What they can do is interfere with your needs. Feelings are there to tell you about your needs. What do? We blame other people. Oh, I don't understand feelings, they're so complicated. And on it goes. There are at least 10 strong myths about feelings that are nonsense. So, feelings tell us about our needs. The system works brilliantly if we use it. Fact, feeling, need, request. Would you please get off my foot? Would you please give me an apology for calling me those nasty names? Now, I'm not forcing you to. You have to apologize or I'll get you fired. No, that's more violence. Are you prepared to? Would you like to? No, I don't want to. I think you're an idiot and I'm going to call you an idiot whenever I see you. Well, we're not going to see each other. Bye. It's not going to happen. Because I respect myself. Why would I hang around with people who don't want to abuse me? Get them out of your life. On the other hand, once you've shared your feeling and your need, the chances are they'll say, oh, I'm terribly sorry, I had this car accident this morning, I'm in a very bad shape and I'm so sorry and I apologize. So you can use it also as empathy. I can see that you're angry. Has something happened this morning? Yes, it has. I'm really, really fucking angry. So there you are. You've opened them up to their feelings, their needs. So it's a wonderful tool. I recommend it. There's a wonderful book. Watch out for... He confuses this a bit by talking about giraffe language and jackal language and so on for much of the book. It's about facts, feelings, needs, request. And then circles. And the thing is, as I said earlier, we've learned to do violence in our organisation and our decision-making. The thing about the circle is, what you want to do is get rid of decision-making. It's about energy. If we listen to each other long enough, and this is very efficient, if we listen to each other long enough, we'll know what the feeling is in the group. We'll know where the energy is going. We don't have to vote on anything. Now, people distrust consensus enormously. Don't know what they're frightened of. I teach it all the time. It works every time brilliantly once you know how to use the tools. If we train the children in circle work, so there's the children's circle, the girls' circle, the adolescent circle, and so on, and we learn the tools early, it's a breeze. So that anywhere we go in the world, we sit in a circle and we listen, and we connect, and we find where is the energy going. And that means that everybody's ideas are creative. everybody's ideas are important. There's nobody's idea that is less important than anybody else's. It's just that the energy today is not going that way, it's going this way. Okay. So sometimes you get a circle where, say, I think we've got a consensus here. Has everybody agreed we're going to build a new toilet block over there? And all the hands go up except one. I said, are you against it? No, I just couldn't care, really. It's not one of my concerns. I don't go to the toilet or whatever it is. So that's fine, carried. But if the person says, no, I can't even voice why I don't want it. It's just a feeling I have, and I really feel I'm so sorry, guys. I'm going to put a block on it. Now, at that point, you drop the whole conversation. You may not talk about it again at that circle. You can bring it up again another time. But you don't jump on that person and try and get them to change their mind. So that what it means is that every single person has the power to block any decisions of the whole group. And obviously, you're not going to do that all the time. If you're doing it all the time, you're in the wrong group, probably. But what it does, it preserves the individual power. And because that's in the circle becomes so respected that nobody's going to use that power unless they really, really, really feel strongly or have good knowledge why this decision should not be taken. So it's fabulous for decision making. It's absolutely gorgeous for brainstorming, for planning, for negotiating. So, time is getting slowly to an end. So I'm going to ask for questions. If we have time for a few questions? Yeah. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
I'm just a bit curious about your experience with communities when you say they are dysfunctional.
Who's dysfunctional? The communities. Well, when I was talking about, I was particularly talking about intentional communities that I visited, in that there's a lot of infighting, lack of unity, disagreements about money. Now, some are doing very well, but when you investigate a lot of communities or businesses, they're not running at full energy. They're losing energy here and there with internal fighting and so on. So that's really all I meant. I'm not saying that all organizations are dysfunctional. They aren't. Apple, Mac, they built in, one of their values was anybody's idea is good. If you're if you're the cleaner and you've got a great idea, take it to the boss. You can take it anywhere. If you take it to your immediate boss, he'll probably steal your idea and say it's his. So they know this. So no, there are plenty of functional organizations, of course there are, but they usually run on hierarchies. A lot of the ashrams work very well when the guru is alive and fall apart when he's dead. So hierarchies work, they really do. We're living in hierarchy now. Lots of things work, I'm not saying. But what works incredibly well is building new nuclear power stations and starting wars and keeping people in debt. It works incredibly well. They've got it down. Their hierarchies are really good. Now, that's not an us and them thing. It's an inevitable result of the agricultural revolution. It went step by step, and somewhere along the line, women lost the decision-making process and have been excluded. So I would like to say one more thing. If this is a female planet, and if the men who had manifested their dreams for the last 12,000 years were grown up, we might have something different, but it was boys. And boys build tall buildings till they fall over, they blow things up, and they fight, and they play with dangerous chemicals. What do we see? The manifestation of boys' visions. It's not grown up, and it's a female planet. We're not meant to have these buildings looking like penises all over the place. We're meant to have houses looking like bosoms.
Yes.
And rounded and beautiful and shapely. Because it's a female planet, nature does beautiful things already, shows us the way. So I wanted to say that because it is one of the big changes, and in community, we now have in UK, most of the leaders of the political parties are women, and Jeremy Corbyn is very developed female side. So this is happening all over the world. So part of creating community is, the yoga community is mostly female, it's mostly the women. It's time for the women to take over. It's in the tribal arrangement, the highest status is the grandmothers, because it's the wise elder women who dream the visions of the future, and it's the job of the men and the rest of us to make that dream come true. Whereas at the moment we've got the men. So the big transformation, one of the biggest changes in this paradigm is where it's not women making decisions, it's women visioning, bringing their visions so that we can, this idea of making a decision and it should be like this. Once we're connected with spirit, we're just getting beautiful pictures and then thinking, oh, that picture could be here. So this is a different way of doing things. Just, I've wandered from your question, but I wasn't being rude about all communities in that way. It's just that...
Well, my point was that you do have the human being in every community. So they will bring their own patterns, their samskaras, they bring their own ambitions into it. So even Apple, I mean, there are things in Apple which I find disgusting. And that's why I never buy an Apple product. So I think in every single community, irrespective of whether it's...
There are human beings.
They are.
Yes. And this we addressed first by power reclaimed by individuals established in spiritual truth. We need to grow up. These dysfunctions are from children, not grown-ups. When you've grown up, you use the circle. If there is a conflict, which there will be, we're great at conflicts, we should have them, we should embrace them. They're lovely conflicts, because then you can make a new friend. The number of friends I have, we started out with an argument, it's fantastic. So, we should embrace them, because we go, we agree on a tool to resolve it. Let's go and resolve it. And the whole community, I can tell you one of the most beautiful strategies for resolving conflicts that's used in Romania. Now, I was introduced to it by a Romanian singer. In her village, if there's two people not talking to each other, they're brought into one kitchen and they're sat at the end of the big table, and the whole of the community, in turns, comes and sings to them. Non-stop until they make up. Now, of course, they love singing. But also, they've got to look after the children and everything, and these people realize after a while, oh my God, they do love singing, but they're giving up their time, they're giving up they're neglecting their children and their farms to sing because we can't make up. You can't sit there very long with the whole village singing to you. You're going to make up, okay? So we've got lots of strategies for it, but we can make up. You're saying, yes, we humans argue, but we can have the joy of beautiful tools for making up and resolving them. Yes?
You talked about the sort of movement and the shift of consciousness and all of that. Obviously, it is happening. It's really nice to see. Two things really. How long do you think it would take for it to be mainstream? And do you think there'll be any opposition from big pharma companies?
Yes.
Or the sort of...
I think I'm there. So the question was, when do I think there's going to be a big shift? And also about opposition from pharmaceutical companies and things like that in terms of alternative health. Do you know, I don't really want to say too much on those. The new paradigm is not dualistic. It's a holistic view, where we're all in this together. There's no, in fact, in a way, it's like there's only one human being on the planet. You know, we're all capable of. If I was the head of CEO of Shell, you know, I'd be doing exactly the same, because I'm a human being. So there's a movement. There's definite movement. There's growth. There's it's all going fine, and it's an exciting time because we are clearly on a big shift. I mean, what are you all doing here on a Sunday, for goodness sake? It's because you can feel there's something in the air, it's, you know, and the more we take back our power, get together in groups and change things, hey, incredible edible. 4 women sat down, decided, let's plant some food for free for people. So, you know, plant food everywhere for free. For people. That's how it's designed, you know. So I think it's best to ignore, try and not get involved in fights as much as possible. because the only reason people want to fight is because they're frightened. They're frightened they're going to lose something. I don't know what to say. In terms of, when are we going to see the change? Well, I'm looking at it. So this is it. It's always that thing of it's going to happen in the future. But we've already got it, as far as I'm concerned, because this is an unstoppable snowball running downhill. Thank you.
Fantastic.